Let's now talk about Kashmir, where there is targeted killing, fear, panic and distress over these killings. And the question that we are asking is whether the centre has fumbled in its Kashmir response and what needs to be done. The purpose of this debate is both fault-finding as well as solutions for the future. Utpal Kaul, International Coordinator of the Global Kashmiri Pandit Diaspora, Abhijit Jasrotia, spokesperson of the BJP, Priyanka Chaturvedi, Rajya Sabha MP and spokesperson of Shiv Sena, who wrote a letter also today, and Professor Geeta Bhatt, political analyst, views lean towards the BJP and the RSS. Thank you very much. Let's start this discussion. Mr. Kaul, what do you think needs to be done? At least would we begin by admitting and asking this very question, whether the centre's Kashmir strategy has not worked and it has fumbled, and something needs to change?
Thank you very much, Sanket, for inviting me for this very important debate. But let me tell you that it was Supreme Court of India in 2008 which asked the Manmohan Singh government what you have done for Kashmiri Pandits, Kashmiri refugees for last these 22 years, what the central government has done. They immediately filed the report that we are going to employ 6,000 Kashmiri Hindus in Kashmir, and they did appoint some 1,500 people, and they were promised moon and sun. But what they did for all these years, that they could not find accommodation for them, and there were no service rules. They were asked to put bond, and so it was such a shame that those people who came as refugees to different parts of India, they were forcibly were asked to write bond so that they will get job in Kashmir. But what happened today, coming to this time, that even after 7 years of our BJP government also, what they should have done, they are also very slow. And now we have met many times, our representatives have met to Lieutenant Governor and to Home Ministry also. Now they have promised us that in short time they are going to provide accommodation, and we were requesting them that we have some young girls living in interiors of Kashmir. They have never been to Kashmir. Their grandfather was born in that village where these girls and young boys were put in there. So it was a scary situation, and we were requesting to central government, both before BJP government, we were requesting to National Conference, PDP and Congress government, do some tool for them. They don't have any, either central government.
Okay, we seem to be losing that audio connection on Mr. Utpal Kaul. I'm going to come back to you, Mr. Kaul, but I think we've understood what you're trying to say.
One minute.
Yes.
I just want, now the basic thing is security.
Exactly. The basic point is security, and on that front, that's exactly why I asked this question. The first thing that one has to do, Priyanka Chaturvedi, is to admit that the response is fumbling, that there is a problem. While for the past 3 years, there is an attempt being made to tell the whole world and particularly constituents here in India that everything good is happening in Jammu and Kashmir. That is not the case. There is a problem, and there is an urgent need to review. And by the way, it's not just the Hindus who are dying. Muslims in Kashmir too are victims of targeted killing. Priyanka Chaturvedi. Ms. Chaturvedi, if you could unmute yourself, please.
Sorry, I had muted myself. I'm so used to the idea of muting myself because that's how the government of India works these days. They mute the opposition. But all I'd like to say is, with all due respect to Mr. Kaul has been fighting the cause for the Kashmiri Pandits. What has happened in the Supreme Court during Manmohan Singh's tenure is something which was used politically by the current government. And there is a current government which is in power for past 8 years. Let's not forget, in 2015, the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, had said that he will rehabilitate the Kashmiri Pandits who have been long sufferers of this entire Islamic terrorism that we see in Kashmir, to rehabilitate and also to provide justice to them. And some homes were promised, some jobs were promised. And today we are seeing a position where those who were employed under the Prime Minister's scheme are facing death threats, are facing targeted killings, and are not feeling safe. And that is why you see an entire exodus of Kashmiri Pandits happening, and not just Kashmiri Pandits, Kashmiri Hindus, as well as Hindus coming from other states of India, in the hope that the Prime Minister of India, the government of India, would be able to give them protection. It is not happening. And that is my question to the government of the day, that we have promised them. So when Mr. Kaul says, oh, you promised the sun and the moon and the earth, the Pandits during Manmohan Singh ji's tenure, maybe they did, they failed. Today we have a government which promised them the sun, moon, earth and the entire universe. They have failed much more. And today we need to question this. I come from a political party which is Shiv Sena. Shiv Sena at a time in 1990s when all political parties were playing politics over this entire exodus. We were the only party which was talking about the future of Kashmiri Pandits in other states. We not just rehabilitated them, but we also created an atmosphere where their children could study and they could also become important participants in India's economy and India's growth story.
Okay.
And today we are proud of the fact that we're doing it. And unfortunately, we are facing a situation where 1990s is repeating again. But nobody is challenging the government of the day and asking questions of the government as to why they're not being vocal enough.
Sure.
And after 370,
Mr. Abhijit Jasrotia.
Last 1 second, Sanket, just let me complete. After 370 was revoked, and when they were promised lands and they could buy plots, and when they have come back on the back of that promise, they are not provided the security that they seek.
Okay.
That's my entire point.
Sure. Mr. Jasrotia, you have heard Mr. Kaul, you have heard Priyanka Chaturvedi making her political point. Now I want to ask you...
No, I don't make a political point. I make a point from the perspective of Kashmiri Pandits, Hindus and migrants who have gone there and are now being targeted every single day. And a government which is being silent. This is not political. This is above my politics.
Okay. Abhijit Jasrotia, can we expect at least an admission to begin with that your policy has fumbled and that we are in dire need of a new policy for Kashmir? Both political solutions and policing solutions. Security solutions.
Yeah. Before I start, I would like to respond to Priyanka Chaturvedi. I think it's better to remain mute rather than be a parachute lander in Kashmir, because I have seen many people who keep on saying and trying many things for Kashmir, and they believe more in their theoretical knowledge and other things. We are practically present on the ground and we know what's happening over here. Now coming to the other part of the question.
So please. So is Shiv Sena. They are very much there and working for the people and the cause of Kashmir.
Yeah,
so you cannot come and tell me, I know theory, but I don't know practical
You don't know anything about the Kashmir.
My party is working on ground. No, I'm sorry, you don't know anything.
My party has lost more than 2 dozen people in Kashmir just for holding that rifle up. My party has lost more than 2 dozen people in Kashmir. I don't think your party has lost even a single person in Kashmir. I don't think you should become. I don't think that you should become an expert in Kashmir. Let me tell you, don't know.
Okay, can I come in, please?
Google, you come to know.
This is not the cause of Hindus. And you are the last one to
one moment. Let's please stay on topic, please.
Come and give me
Mr. Jasrotia, I asked you a very pointed question.
No, either he speaks or Kashmir.
Can you please answer my question? The question is, has your policy fumbled? And number two, do you admit that you need a new policy?
Ensure that you'll project a picture of normalcy in Kashmir.
So please tell her NDTV don't believe in such sort of debates.
One moment. Mr. Jasrotia, can you answer my question, please? We have very limited time. Please answer my question. Do you think your policy has fumbled? Do you think you need a new policy on Kashmir? And provide more...
They have no policy. Forget any policy. They have no policy. They only
if she will keep on talking, then what can I say?
And seeking votes out of Kashmiris.
Mr. Jasrotia.
No, please. It is better now you mute her. Then only I can take my point. It's better to mute her now.
Why should you mute me? You'll have muted the entire opposition.
I don't think NDTV believes in such sort of
Can I please, now please, we have to move on.
NDTV don't believe in such sort of
Mr. Jasrotia, can you answer my question, please?
If he can speak
you forget about mute and unmute. Please answer my question.
You
One more.
did that.
I have to
You
take the
did
debate
that.
forward.
The parliament. I was not muted then. I won't be muted here.
Nobody is
You
being
keep
muted.
screaming your lungs out.
Mr.
Spokesperson
Jasrotia.
Am I allowed to speak? Am I allowed to speak now?
Yes, please answer my
Yeah.
question.
Sanket, let me be very clear on this, and I am going to mince no word now. Let me tell you one thing that, you cannot compare the apathy of those 30 years with just 3 years of the governance in Jammu and Kashmir now. It's an unfortunate part, whatever has happened, but you can feel that there are many other things which are, which play a very pivotal role in Kashmir. There are Pakistan factories there. Now Pakistan has changed its strategies.
Oh,
They are
please
now
forget
sending sticky
Pakistan.
bombs and other
What
things.
are you doing to
So
control
who else
Pakistan?
is doing then? Who else is doing then? This is Pakistan which is doing all the things over here.
Please,
Na?
please,
So let
please
me
keep
complete
quiet.
my point.
Please keep
Let
quiet
me
about this
complete my
rubbish
point.
about
She knows
Pakistan.
nothing.
What are you all
Yeah,
doing?
I
How are you all
really hate
keeping
such sort of
our border?
parachute landers
How are
in
you all
Kashmir.
safeguarding our
These are
borders?
these are the real culprits of the Kashmir. Just due to you people,
Real culprits
Kashmiri
are
Pandits are not
the
having a
Bharatiya
safe
Janata
life.
Party,
This just
which
due
has
to
only
you
sought
people,
votes out of
Kashmiri
it.
Pandits cannot live here because you people are basically
Please.
the warmongers over here.
Please
You are the
keep quiet.
hate mongers over here, and this is what you are doing. And I will tell you one thing: I
Hate-mongers.
don't believe in people like you do. Who don't believe in what we are doing over here. And if you don't have any idea of Kashmir, then please keep. It is better you
I have I'm
the
sorry,
way you
Mr.
started.
Jasrotia.
Better you mute
You come
yourself.
from a point of
Better you
view
mute
which
yourself.
has
Okay,
nothing
one
to
moment. This is
showcase
not
to the
going-
people of Kashmir.
I'm not getting the answer to the question
don't
that
know
I
what you
asked.
know.
Sanket, I'm
She's
sorry.
not
I
allowing
have
me
to
to
answer.
answer.
Professor Geeta Bhatt.
Sanket, I have to say something.
Yeah,
now,
one
please.
moment. Professor Geeta Bhatt has not spoken. I'll come back to you.
Before, I'm sorry.
Professor
before-
Bhatt.
Sanket, I wanted to,
Professor
Sanket, I
Bhatt.
wanted to add.
No, before,
Yeah, can I
before
speak?
Geeta ji,
Very limited
I-
point.
I'm
Has the policy
hoping,
failed?
Geeta ji,
Do people like
No,
Mr.
please.
Kaul and other Kashmiris who are
I
suffering
know,
over there, victims of targeted
Yeah,
killing,
Sanket.
do you at least need to
Sanket.
promise them a better policy
Sanket,
and more
I
security?
respect Geeta
Sanket
ji.
ji,
I respect
Sanket ji,
Geeta
can
ji,
I-
and I'm certain she will speak
can I
for the
speak?
people of Kashmir and the Hindus of
Sanket ji,
Kashmir.
I want to,
Okay,
you see,
yeah.
Not as a
it is
spokesperson
definitely a matter of concern.
or a-
We have
or
seen,
a- or a
school teacher
spokesperson
Rajni
in
Bala,
disguise for the
she
BJP.
was shot right inside the school. And people from common, walks of life, they are losing their lives, which actually shows one thing, that there has been a complete change in the way the terror organizations are operating, where
And
earlier
that's
they
my
were
question.
targeting
Where
the police.
was
Yes,
the
I'm coming to
intelligence?
that. The police
What
and
were-
they
what
were
was the police
targeting the
doing?
army and the police, but now they started targeting the Hindus in the valley, and
Not just
which
Hindus,
actually is showing
there are
their
many victims
desperation.
of targeted
They
violence.
are- yes,
It
yes.
includes Muslims also.
Sanket ji, it is because it is their desperation, they are losing their clutches in the valley, and the reason is because the number of changes after 5th of August 2019 in the laws that have taken place, especially in terms of the domicile, in the Union Territory, in Jammu and Kashmir, and the Decentralization and Recruitment Act to 2020, because of which a large number of people have been able to apply for domicile and have got the domiciles and are able to, get their rights in Kashmir. In 2020, after this act came, 3.7 lakh people had applied and they got their domicile certificate. Today, the number is almost 5 times of this, which also includes 56,000.
Yeah, but
of those
this does not include the
minorities
reality
who were
right now.
Who came from
The reality right now is
Pakistan.
very different.
No, you see, the point is, yes. So definitely, this requires that the government needs to
Sure.
take this seriously and look at a multi-pronged policy, not
Exactly.
just in
So
terms
I'm happy that at least you're talking
and
about
also,
you're
and
talking
also
about a better
providing
solution.
self-defense to these, self-defense to the Hindus over there, because
Oh
we have to
my
be
God.
practical. It is not possible, that at
uh,
every point in time. Priyanka
No,
ji,
I
we
don't
have
know what
listened to you
self-defense
very
means,
patiently. As
because then a
Rajya Sabha
person will
member,
come
you
with
should
a
have
gun.
the grace to
What
at
sort
least
of
listen to
self-defense
other
will you
people.
do?
Please, we have listened to you.
Who's stopping you?
Please listen
Unless,
and
of course, you're
stopping
talking
you?
about having
stopping
guns in
you?
every
You are
household.
interfering in between, ma'am. Please, if you can be
Not at
kind
all.
enough. Let's show
I don't
some
know why
grace.
you're so
You are Rajya
agitated.
Sabha member. At least behave
I
like
don't know
one.
why you're so
Please.
agitated, Geeta
No, the
ji.
way you have been,
I know
trying to,
you'll have no
trying
defense to
your
give,
water
but
boundary
this-
and the way you are
this
trying to
agitated-
shout over everyone else. Please
not
don't
at
get
all.
it. It does
Only
not
Mr.
suit to
Jasrotia
someone
who's
who,
making some
who goes
outrageous
to the
claims.
parliament and is a part of Rajya
You,
Sabha.
as a
At least
political
convince me.
Okay,
analyst,
one moment. This is
you
not
must
this is
have
not good.
standard.
We are
that you
talking
would
about.
make sense.
One
Please do not
moment. I
allow
want to come
others
in
to
here.
speak. I'm very
It's,
sorry.
it's,
You
it's
do not
very
allow
difficult
others
to
to
debate
speak.
like this.
And
The point
Sanket
is,
ji, please,
can
you
we
need
talk
to
about the
listen- you need to
Kashmiris right
intervene.
now, rather than people on this panel, please?
Exactly.
Professor
I don't know.
Bhatt.
I think I'm a victim of targeting here. I'm sorry.
Professor
You
Bhatt.
were two spokespersons of the
yes, so
BJP
what I'm trying to
coming
say
and
is-
targeting.
What I'm trying
an
to
issue
say is that
which is
it
serious.
requires now. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, Miss Geeta Bhatt. I expected you to be a political analyst, not a spokesperson of RSS and BJP.
Can you please allow? Can you please allow others to speak? You may be a very intelligent lady, but at least don't undermine others' intelligence. We have a lot of respect for you as a Rajya Sabha member, but you are. When was the last time you went to
Go to Mr. Call. One moment. The purpose of this debate was not name calling. The purpose of this debate was to look for a solution.
When was the last time? When did you go to Kashmir? I have not been to Kashmir in a long time, but when did you go to Kashmir? That today you are trying to.
I just want to come and say
I'm
something.
very, very sorry. I'm sorry to say, but that someone who's in Rajya Sabha is behaving in such a manner and trying to monopolize the debate and not allowing anyone else to speak.
Okay, one moment. So can I, Professor Bhatt, one moment. Professor Bhatt, one moment. Then can we now have the debate? Mr. Kaul, I want to come to you now and ask you this question. How do you think that this problem can be solved? What, according to you, in your wisdom, are the steps that the central government can take?
Sanket, first of all, I want to tell through your channel to all the people and all political parties that Kashmir, this time situation, it is very serious and we have to take it very seriously. And it is not question of debate between Congress and BJP. It is not debate between Shiv Sena and BJP. We must work together. And it is very, very important that we work together for making Kashmir peaceful and having tranquility there. Our expectation from central government now is that they must crush terrorism. And crushing of terrorism means that not only killing all these terrorists who are killing, but also killing their mentality. And there is a lot of infrastructure by which they motivate these youngsters. And that is a tragedy that these youngsters, we know that what Pakistan is doing, we know that ISI is doing, but we have to see what we are doing. It is the responsibility of the central government. It is the responsibility of the LG and the police.
Absolutely. I think this is well said. For anyone who feels that there is any other stakeholder or any other person of importance who should be asked these questions, no.
Sanket, give me one.
These questions have to be directed at the center. No one else.
Sanket,
no one else. I have completely run out of time, Mr. Kaul.
No, Sanket,
Priyanka
you will have
Chaturvedi,
to allow
Professor
me
Bhatt,
to give
as well
20
as Mr.
seconds.
Jasrotia. No, the debate has become insanely and intensely personal. The point is, the purpose of this debate was to discuss the problems of Kashmir and look for a solution. We'll take that endeavor forward. Some comments on the Coup app as well. A hashtag which says Hindu Yodha has written this comment. What do you think is the problem in Kashmir? Santosh Kumar says, and he's talking about World Bicycle Day. Let's remember that as well. Bicycle is a sustainable, affordable and eco-friendly means of transport that also keeps you fit. All right. With that, we come to the end of this edition of The Big Fight. News continues on the other side.